Hello students, welcome to chapter 2. This is about laboratory techniques and safety. I hope you will enjoy this topic. Chemistry is about doing experiments to discover new things. All these experiments are done in a special room called a laboratory. You may be asking yourself, what is a laboratory? I can explain it as just a science playground where we can do experiments to discover new things. Okay, let's now see an example of a science laboratory which is usually found in schools. As you can see, we have test tubes within the laboratory, we have a microscope, we have enough windows to allow air coming in, we have different desks where we have to carry out experiment with comfort, and others of similar nature. In chemistry, we need to carry out experiments so that we can find new things, and all of these are carried out in the special room like this one, which you see on this screen. This is what we call a science laboratory. You will be using this laboratory in the near future when you start carrying out various chemical experiments. Hope you will enjoy them, and you will have no wonder because you have already seen how the laboratory looks like. In this chapter, we will learn important rules that you must follow when you are carrying out experiments in the laboratory. These will help you to stay safe in the laboratory. Actually, by understanding laboratory rules will help us carrying out experiments with comfort, and we will use the chemical equipments responsibly. Let's now see laboratory rules and the safety measures which we need to apply in the laboratory. What is a laboratory rule? It is a special instruction that tells us what to do and not what to do. Today, you will learn important rules which must be followed before, during, and after experiments. Let's now start with laboratory rules that should be followed before carrying out a practical experiment in the chemistry laboratory. The first rule is that you are not allowed to enter in the laboratory without having permission of your teacher or a laboratory technician. The second rule is that wear the right clothes, such as laboratory coats. Do not wear your sandals. Another rule to remember is that when you are in the laboratory carrying out experiments, make sure the windows are open to allow fresh air coming in the laboratory. Another important rule is that when you are in the laboratory, make sure you understand where to exit in case of any emergency. Know the door to exit. Now, those were rules you need to consider before starting any practical experiment. Now, let's turn our attention to the rules during practical activities. The first rule is that before carrying out any practical activity, make sure you read the instructions thoroughly in order to perform proper experiments. The second rule is that when you are in the laboratory, you are not required to eat, drink, or taste anything in the laboratory. Also, when you are in the laboratory, you are not required to smoke. This is because there are some chemicals which can catch fire easily, so you can cause accidents. Also, when you are in the laboratory, you are not required to run. This is because there might be some spills of chemicals on the floor. You can slip and fall down. Also, another important rule is that when you are in the laboratory, you are not required to play. Another laboratory rule is that if you don't understand something, make sure you ask your teacher or a laboratory technician. Don't just do it as you wish. Also, another thing you must understand is that chemical containers have special labels on them. So make sure you read them carefully and make sure you don't interchange the labels. Also, when you are in the laboratory, do not touch any electrical equipment with your wet hands. Otherwise, you will get electrical shock and fall down. Again, when you are in the laboratory, make sure you wash off your chemical spills, whether on your skin or on your clothes, with plenty of clean water. Also, when you are in the laboratory, make sure that any substances that can catch fire easily are kept far away from any open source of flame. When doing experiments in the laboratory, make sure you perform the intended experiments only. Don't set up your own experiment or interfere with someone's experiment. Also, remember to note down and report any breakages or accidents to the teacher or laboratory technician immediately once you identify them. Okay, we have now seen the laboratory rules to be followed during practical experiments. We are now going to see laboratory rules after practical activities. Once you have finished your practical experiments, make sure you wash your hands with soap and plenty running clean water. After you are done with your experiments, make sure you clean the working surface, the benches within the laboratory, and the sinks which you used for your experiment. Again, once you have finished performing your practical experiments, remember to turn off any gas or any water taps that are open. When you have finished your experiment, remember to collect all solid wastes and appropriately dispose them using the litter bins. Finally, remember to clean all of the equipment used and store them.